Good morning. A few weeks ago, there was a special edition of Nature, which was focusing on the 10 years anniversary of the discovery of the genome. And if you reflect about it, never science have been so rich in order for us to provide new medicines to patients that suffer. Yet, the productivity of research in the world, coming from academia or biopharmaceuticals, for producing new medicine has been at its low, at its trough for many years. So something is going on there where really the need to reshape the biopharmaceutical research throughout the world, and of course our focus today is in Europe, but the concepts that are applying are valid throughout the world. So what's going on? I will cover first of all the urgency of the need to reshape the biopharmaceutical R&D in Europe, the challenges that we face, how the industry is currently looking at responding to these challenges, and the importance of IMI, why IMI indeed is one of the key components to reshape the biopharmaceutical R&D in Europe and the value of IMI. I will talk briefly of a few challenges that we're facing, and more importantly, moving forward, how do we see IMI in its contribution to reshape the biopharmaceutical industry in Europe. First of all, the urgency. The unmet medical needs, we all know about them, are huge. And clearly the aging of the population is making Alzheimer, but also cancer, still as increasing healthcare issues that no one can ignore. Obesity, another factor, and clearly also emerging infectious diseases are things that we cannot ignore. Too many patients are suffering every day, and the sense of urgency for all of us in this room, all of us involved in biopharmaceutical research, is delivering new innovative medicines that will heal these patients as soon as possible. I want to highlight also that this urgency is there because we also see that the emerging markets are clearly getting their act together. So in terms of competition, the US have been a formidable competitor and a very successful competitor in the biopharmaceutical field. But we see that the emergence of China, and I want to cite the fact that you all know the exponential growth, and right now China is number 3 in the world in terms of primary research publications that are used, in fact, by US companies. So the rising competitiveness of China also gives us that sense of urgency to do something about it in Europe. We talked about the urgency, and if we look at the challenges, this graph really summarizes well the challenge of the industry. You see in the red line here is the R&D budget that is spent by the biopharmaceutical industry around the world, over $50 billion per year. And you see the productivity is being showed by the new molecular entity or the new biologic entity in red that are being approved year by year. And you clearly see that this number is at its trough right now. So R&D spend is not the answer to reshape biopharmaceutical industry. I want to highlight another major challenge which is rising also behind our ability to redesign, to reshape biopharmaceutical research. And I'm talking about the economic challenge. Clearly the pressure on drug prices, we understand the necessity of governments, especially in Europe, with the rising public deficit, to put pressure on costs, but this clearly adds to the challenge of being able to invest more in R&D. And unfortunately, we're seeing many of my colleagues that are reacting to this downward pressure on drug prices by cutting also research. And clearly, this is not helping in our ability to reshape research in Europe. So the challenge indeed also to our different stakeholders is to find cost containment measures that are able to address the public deficits, but also maintain the ability to invest in R&D. If I talk more about the scientific challenge, we talked about the challenge of productivity, that money is not the answer. We talked about the economic challenge. If I talk about the scientific challenge, this is actually data coming from the leading pharma company, Pfizer, on their ability to improve or not improve survival of candidates' drugs, candidates' medicine. And you see that safety is by far, but also efficacy, by far the #1 cause of attrition. In fact, a very recent pool data throughout the industry shows that safety and efficacy indeed are the major source of failure. And if you think that even compounds that are in phase 3, 42% of this medicine fail due to efficacy and safety, this clearly shows you the pretty bad and poor ability of the industry as a whole to predict safety and efficacy as product even move as late as phase 3 trials. You would expect that by that time, most of the ability to predict safety and efficacy has been addressed. So big challenges in terms of productivity, big challenges in terms of economics, big challenges in terms of science, with really poor ability to predict efficacy and safety. So how is the industry addressing these challenges? Many of us have been spending time clearly on identifying and understanding the bottlenecks, also understanding how the emerging science that I started with, such as genomics, such as understanding the genetic footprints, can help us do a better job. Biomarkers is clearly a big highlight. We all thrive to move towards personalized medicine. And if you think about it, we've been talking for years about biomarkers now. But apart from a couple of examples, and clearly in the diabetes or in the field of cancers where there are reliable biomarkers, clearly in the field of CNS, the next epidemiology of the aging, we see that biomarkers and the ability to predict still need to be dramatically improved. So many of us are also driving at harnessing the power of the information. With the wealth of information provided by the genomics, by genetics, by biology, by the chemical libraries, harnessing that power of information is something that we all thrive for. And some of these challenges are being addressed company by company, but others will clearly merit to be viewed as pre-competitive. I think all the companies that are working on the field of Alzheimer would wish to have an early predictor, an early marker of biomarker. I'm a veterinary surgeon by background, and as such, the use of animals that we still have in drug development is something that does not satisfy me and cannot satisfy anyone of our industry. So any pre-competitive work that we can do around better predicting safety, reducing use of animals, is clearly something that is a high priority for all of us.